Hello again, and welcome back to Devotion to Writing, a channel devoted to helping you overcome writer's block, move from fear to flow, step out of doubt and into confidence, and awaken your creativity through the simple, sacred act of writing. Today, I want to talk about something that stops so many of us from writing. It's this silent demon that we have inside of us, and that is this fiction that we create about what a real writer is or who a real writer is. And this fiction becomes a idealized version of ourselves, which in fact serves as a prison. It keeps us from writing. It keeps us from being free creatively. So I ask, if you are struggling to write, is it because you have some idealized version of what a writer is, what they look like, how they act, how they perform, what success is, and this is maybe keeping you from writing? So I will say right off the top that I know that you can write, and it is not that you aren't creative enough or talented enough, that if you are having trouble writing, if you are doubting yourself, or if you have fear at the page, it may be because you have spent a tremendous amount of effort and energy inventing, constructing an idealized image of what a writer should look like or is, and how they act and how they create and how they live. If you have done this, and I'm going to ask you to examine that in a prompt a little later in this video, but if you have done this, then this fiction becomes a creative confinement. And each time you compare yourself to it, every time you judge your writing, every time you quit or don't follow your desire to write, you just reinforce these walls of this prison. You reinforce this idealized version, and you say, see, I'm not that. I must not be a writer. So the first thing we have to do is see this fiction, see this invention, this character that we've created. It can be a very powerful character. It can also be very powerful to see that this exists, that we have created this, and let it go. So I ask you to see what you have created, and if you have created a fictional writer. It doesn't matter how it was formed. You don't have to get into your parenting, your upbringing, your education, because maybe this fictionalized writer that you have in your head was inherited or learned or absorbed, or that you've justify this because you're trying to keep yourself from writing, but none of this matters. And sometimes it might even feel easier just to accept this false narrative that you aren't the thing you dream of being. It might just be easier to accept that than to actually live it, especially if writing feels forbidden in some way, or unrealistic, or that it's unacceptable, or if you've been told that it's not something that you can do or should do. But now, right now, I ask you to grab your notebook and ask yourself, have you constructed a fictionalized, idealized writer, or a creative prison for yourself? Some ideal that you think you have to become before you allow yourself to write. Really give this some time and think about it. Describe perhaps some stories that you have around creating, around writers, any traits that you ascribe to writing, to writers, any rules that you've built around what it means to be a writer. And then look at how this imaginary writer that you have might act. How do they live? How do they write? And does your life live up to that ideal? So you can pause this video as you write this, take a few minutes, write about it. And as always, if you want to share it with me, you can drop it in the comments, or you can go to devotiontowriting.com and message me there, send me an email, or just fill out the contact form and send this to me. I would love to hear what it is that you've created that hinders you, and let it go. Remind you to let this go. I'll tell you, my own fictional writer, man, what a character. What a powerful character demon that was that I had over myself that kept me from writing. I'll tell you that he was much smarter than me, much more eloquent. He sits just to my left and he whispers things in my ear like, no one's going to read this. This is terrible what you're writing. Are you really going to let anyone see that? All the time. Of course, he's more committed than I am, more devoted. He writes 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. It's all he does. In fact, he doesn't even have a job. He's not a husband. He's not a father. He's just obsessed with writing and with craft. And because I don't write 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, and because I am not as eloquent or as smart as I want to be, or as devoted as I wish I could be, and because I am a father and a husband, I kept telling myself, I'm not that writer. I'm not a real writer. It was only through my practice, through my devotion, that I was able to see what a trap this was, because then I realized that it was such a fiction, because here I was writing every day. Yes, maybe it wasn't 8 hours a day, but it was some time every day that I was showing up and I was writing and I was creating. This made me a writer. And once I had that realization, this fictionalized ideal began to lose its power and began to dissolve. But when I was not writing, there was no way I was going to live up to that ideal. So I say, let go of that fiction. Because here's the truth. You don't have to live up to that fiction. It is imagined. It is created. And if you are holding up that ideal for yourself, you are using that to imprison yourself. You only have to let it go, see it clearly, release yourself from that. A writer writes, period. So devote yourself to writing, even 5 minutes a day. A writer writes. Your process, your devotion, your own practice is going to reveal to you your process, how you work. That is what's going to be revealed. It doesn't have to look like anything. You don't need to write like anyone else. You don't have to perform like anyone else. You have nothing to prove. You are free. You are free to express what is in you. Your devotion. Devote yourself to this, to the practice, not some ideal, not to some imagined standard, but to the practice of writing itself, to showing up and writing. Write consistently. Write every day, even for a few minutes. No rules, no shoulds, no projections, no critical mind. Just cultivate a friendly relationship with your creative self, and one that is open and honest, spacious and real, and right from the openness that you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you for watching. If this video helped you, feel free. Please like this video, please subscribe, and share it with someone else who needs permission to write freely today. And remember, devotion is not about perfection, it's about showing up. So, as always, I hope you write deeply today. I know that if you do write, you're going to write beautifully, because beautiful is what you are. Blessings.